This is a presentation on serious emotional disorder and various effective strategies that can be implemented within the classroom or school environment. This is for the Diverse Learners course at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. Serious emotional disorder. What is it? It is an inclusive term for children and adolescents whose emotional and mental disturbances severely limit their development and welfare over a significant period of time and that require a comprehensive and coordinated system of care in order for their needs to be met. And here we also have 5 specific bullet points that must be in place in order for a child to be truly diagnosed with a serious emotional disorder. Number 1, the child or adolescent must be under the age of 18 years old. Number 2, the child must have already a pre-existing diagnosis of either adjustment disorders, mental retardation, or learning disabilities unless they coexist or co-occur with other psychiatric diagnoses. Number 2, the child must have evidence of showing that at least 2 areas of the life domains are depreciated or low performing, so I guess we could call it. And those areas are age-appropriate self-care, family life, education, community living, personal hygiene, leisure time management, and peer relationships. And specifically, we've honed in on our younger children under the age of 6. And basically what they're finding there is that having pronounced emotional and behavioral symptoms, including but not limited to severe withdrawal, symptoms of attachment disorder, autism, aggressive behavior in more than one setting. So this third bullet is absolutely crucial because, again, it's quite finite that you can't just have one particular domain of life that a child might be depreciating in or low performing in. So just because a child has below grade level or below age level education abilities doesn't automatically sanction them or place them in the diagnoses of a serious emotional disorder. And then say you have a younger child under the age of 6 that might, again, touching in one of those aforementioned life domains, but then also shows aggressive behavior in more than one setting. Again, you have to have at least one of those areas in the life domains present, and it's consistently exhibited. And then also one of the areas for, again, looking at specifically our younger children under the age of 6, albeit severe withdrawal, symptoms of attachment disorder, or aggressive behavior. The fourth bullet is specifically focusing on how these particular symptoms that were aforementioned, so the depreciation or the deficiency in the life domains, that has to have been presented or noted for at least 1 year. And then it also has to be anticipated to be present for a year or longer. So again, these are building blocks that, okay, yes, you have the deficiencies in the life domains, but how long has this been lasting? If it's only been lasting for a month to 3 months, we can't give that child the serious emotional disorder quite yet. If these deficiencies and these diagnoses have existed for at least a year and you foresee it happening beyond that, then we can start building a case for a serious emotional disorder diagnoses. And lastly, without any type of infrastructure, treatment, or supports being in place, the severity of the child or the adolescent's disorder places them at a significant risk for out-of-school, home, or community placement, meaning that because of their deficiencies in the life domains and because those deficiencies in the life domains have existed for a year or are foreseen to exist beyond that year, and it's most definitely causing a significant risk of having that child removed from the school, removed from the home, or removed from the community, then we have enough grounds to sanction or move forward with the diagnosis of a serious emotional disorder. So in your work, in the classroom, in the education field, you might even come in contact with terminology entitled emotionally handicapped. Emotionally handicapped and serious emotional disorder are used interchangeably at times. What we have found in studies and research, students that are labeled as emotionally handicapped or diagnosed with a serious emotional disorder only make up 8% of the students with disabilities under IDEA. However, the interesting facet of this data point is that 80% of that 8% of the students labeled as emotionally handicapped or serious emotional disorder are male students. And basically, again, to kind of surmise what we had just saw on the slide before, these students are the ones that are having a very, very difficult time with displaying appropriate behaviors and emotions, including facets of depression, aggression, withdrawal, or other behaviors that might be disruptive or distracting to other students in the classroom. And because of these behaviors and these actions, this has contributed to these students that are, again, labeled as emotionally handicapped or having a serious emotional disorder as often being academically unsuccessful. So what can we do to fix this? One of the first things that you can do to aid any student that is diagnosed as being emotionally handicapped or with a serious emotional disorder is getting to know them. And this is probably going to be one of the most important aspects in helping the student to manage those behaviors and to help them be academically successful. Why? Because this way, you as the teacher, you know what makes that student tick, both positive and negative. So therefore, you're able to capitalize on what are those motivations that the student has, but then also what are some of the stressors and frustrations that the student has. This helps you as the educator to better plan best approaches of dealing with your student in various situations like incomplete homework. How are you going to approach this child that, again, is labeled as emotionally handicapped or having a serious emotional disorder? Not performing well on a test, tattletales, emotional shutdowns, and anything of the like. Using simple back-to-school style icebreakers will help in getting to know your student. And again, building that trust that is necessary from teacher to student and vice versa. Another strategy that can be used is called the stoplight game. And the stoplight game is basically a card-based system that follows the stoplight system. Green is for great, yellow is for warning, and red is for stop. This is one behavior strategy that helps students to visually see their behaviors in the classroom and is a quick way to modify the behavior. If a student is on red at the end of the day, a consequence should be set in place. Working together with the parents to use a similar system at home helps the student to be aware of their behaviors and consequences and go with that behavior, both good and bad. So again, this is now reteaching certain social behaviors to the child that are exhibiting but possess the diagnosis of a serious emotional disorder. So prime example, if a child with this diagnosis is consistently moving through the classroom, the day in class, pretty good on behavior, but then a few hiccups, he or she would end up on a yellow with a warning. And then more than likely at the end of the school day, the teacher will sit down and talk through with the student as to why they were moved to a yellow throughout the day. So again, that gives great opportunity for the child to reflect, and then also giving the child ample opportunity to come back in the next day aiming or vying to be successful in maintaining a green light. Another strategy is the good student or model student game, and this is more age appropriate for our middle school, high school level students, but can still be utilized for our elementary and pre-K and early childhood students as well. This game or strategy works great, and basically students work in pairs during class to monitor each other's behavior. The teacher will indicate certain points during the class period when they evaluate each other's behavior. This can be done through a simple card with a yes or no or percentages. And basically from there, they're reviewed at the end of the day and various rewards or consequences are presented. So again, this is giving more student ownership of their behavior, and it's not as aggressive as a teacher reprimanding or a teacher critiquing behavior. It's a peer, so it's not going to feel as volatile or I guess we could say aggressive. That's the best word that comes to mind for me. For the child to better understand, because more than likely, a peer is going to be more comfortable with saying, well, I rated you yes or no, because remember when we were working on this one activity and you kept getting distracted, or I marked you yes that you were a good team player because when I got bored or I got distracted, you consistently tried to help me to get back on task. So I feel that this is another great strategy that would be useful for, again, students that are diagnosed with a serious emotional disorder. So in closing, though I've only presented very few strategies, but I think with just these three main strategies, it will greatly improve your teaching effectiveness with any child that's either emotionally handicapped or diagnosed as having a serious emotional disorder. But some immediate takeaways or some additional takeaways for you is most definitely make sure that you consistently include specific classroom rules and expectations directly for those students that are emotionally handicapped or seriously or having serious emotional disorders. Beyond that, creating a preventative discipline plan is also beneficial for you as the teacher and then also for your student, because again, you're putting in the standards and the expectations that you would like to see modeled in your classroom. Some other great strategies as a teacher in your planning and your pre-planning after you get to know your student, most definitely aim to make checklists to make sure that you're making the necessary provisions and accommodations for that child. Reviewing, again, to plan ahead on not just your lesson plans, but the various worksheets that you use, the tests and the quizzes. There are so many different ways now to assess mastery of content and lessons. So it's best to diversify or differentiate that as much as possible. Again, going back to you getting to know your student and having an understanding of what they might be intrigued by that will therefore get the results that you want, but then also you're able to effectively educate and also effectively assess their learning. I hope this has been a great benefit to you, and I wish you the best of luck with teaching diverse learners. Thank you.